This series contains adult language and descriptions of graphic violence. Listener discretion is advised. No, we need to take advantage of this dog silence that we're having. So, if you guys couldn't tell, Mark is filling in for Jenna, which has been kind of a lot lately. So I'm going to say, for those people who prefer Jenna, I'm sorry.
hey, oh.
But she's just scheduling. It's just been difficult, which I know sounds ridiculous because she's only a few minutes away from me, but it just has been a little bit tough to get this episode done. But this is an episode I'm really excited about. I don't even know how I came across it, but I think just looking, I wanted to do Halloween, a few Halloween episodes. I'm guessing this will be a two-parter. It's pretty long. So I'm excited about this one. I'm sad Jenna's not here to do it, but I appreciate you being here to do it with me.
I love being here and doing it.
Great.
Let's get some Halloween murder business happening.
Halloween murder business. Okay, first I have to say the intro.
Wait, did someone get killed? Yeah, just kidding.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. So, welcome back to Death by Southwest, the podcast where each week I share a different grisly murder story unique to the American Southwest, while my sister and co-host, or Mark, tries to piece together the clues and unravel the mystery behind each of these heinous crimes. I'm your host, Margot.
And I'm just Mark.
That's right, just Mark. And today we have a Halloween story. So on Halloween night in 2004, 3 roommates happily passed out candy to trick-or-treaters at their quaint Napa Valley home. Little did they know that by morning, 2 of these women would meet a gruesome fate, while the third would narrowly escape that same tragic fate.
Poison candy?
And with nothing more than a few drops of blood and some cigarette butts left behind, police faced an uphill battle to try and figure out who had committed this heinous crime that forever changed the tight-knit community of Napa. And I know Napa's not Southwest, but...
Napa Valley, California?
Yeah, it's not Southwest, and I'm aware of that, but I'm making an exception because I just found this story quite fascinating. And there's surprisingly not a ton of murders on Halloween in the Southwest. There are some, but not a lot. And this one, I just wanted to do it. So that's my reasoning.
Well, you can just say it's just west.
Yeah, it's west. It's just not Southwest. But it is a sketchy night. There's a lot of crime that happens. I know that. But there's not a ton of murders. So that's, I feel like, enough of an explanation. It's my podcast. I can do whatever I want.
Okay.
And so, me and Jenna have talked about that we're not doing like housekeeping stuff like reviews and DMs and stuff like that anymore on these episodes because it just ends up making our long intros even longer. We're saving those for the bonus. But
I thought you were talking about the housekeeping because I've noticed that.
Okay. But I did want to just say one thing. We went to a Halloween party Friday night that was Mark. It was like your work people mostly, right?
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah, work people. And I guess I don't know if I should say their names or not, but somebody that you work, can I say their names?
I don't see why not.
Okay. So Mark works with somebody named Dylan, and his girlfriend, Selena, listens to the podcast. When I had met her at a work function of Mark's like months ago, I had told her that I have this me and my sister have this podcast. She, I guess, started listening to it and has been listening to it. And Dylan has said to Mark that like he's come home at the end of the day and he like hears Mark's voice in his house, like on the speakers. And he's like, what the hell? And it's, the times when you have filled in.
I like to think it's a guest host.
Okay, a guest
instead
host.
Of just filling in.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Wow. Okay. So anyways, it was nice to see Selena at the party, and I just wanted to, say her name on the podcast and tell her thank you for listening. And we actually talked about that maybe she would, we've talked about having guests on, like listeners on for the bonus, and she said she would be interested in doing that. And we don't know each other very well, so I feel like it might be a good first one for me and Jenna to get comfortable with that. It makes me nervous to have listeners on. Like, what if we disappoint them? What if they're like, ugh, we don't like
What
these
if they're a murderer?
Okay.
I mean, that's probably
well,
not
that would be
likely.
fine because it's over Zoom. So, I mean, like, that's okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But anyways, yes, that's it. Hi, Selena, and thank you for listening. And hi, Dylan, I guess, too. Maybe he's going to be listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening, bro.
Okay, so let's jump into Napa, which is located in Northern California. It's part of Napa County, which is situated in the San Francisco Bay Area. Have you ever been to Napa?
I've never been to Napa, but I've been to the San Francisco area a bunch of times.
Karen, or can I say that too?
Yeah.
So, your ex-girlfriend lived there.
Sausalito.
Yeah, that's really pretty. So, Jenna, for some reason, always loves to know the elevation. So it varies. It says that the valley floor ranges from sea level to 400 feet, but some of the surrounding hills can reach elevations of 2,600 feet, but low elevation, basically.
Yeah, well, what's Tucson, like 22 or 24?
Mm-hmm. Yep. As of 2021, Napa County had a population of about 140,000 people. But I think Napa County encompasses more, a wider area than the winery area. The climate, it's a Mediterranean climate, warm, dry summers and mild, wet winters. The economy obviously is heavily influenced by the wine industry and tourism. So activities to do there are wine tasting and touring the wineries. Hot air ballooning is a popular activity there, actually.
It kind of makes sense because, the environment.
It's beautiful.
Well,
yeah.
because, the hot air balloons out here, it's only when we get that, the cool air in the morning because it doesn't work.
What, you can't go in a hot air balloon when it's hot?
Yeah, it wouldn't work.
Really?
If you tried to send a hot air balloon up.
In July in Tucson?
Yeah. That's
Why?
That's why you only see the balloon rides and everything. It's right when it's getting cool or, before it warms up. And that's why you only see them first part of the morning because they think about it, it's a hot air that rises. Hot air rises, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if your surface temperature is 120 degrees, you'd never get off the ground.
Oh.
You can't get it that hot in that balloon. You know what I mean?
I still don't totally understand, but I'm going to say okay, and so that we can move on. But thank you for explaining that.
Let's get back to it.
Yeah, let's get back to it.
I'm sure someone will correct me in some way, but
That's fine. We get corrected all the time. So ethnic and cultural information is, diverse and culturally rich is basically what I found, which is totally nondescript and means nothing.
well, it's California.
Yeah.
Everybody's there.
And average income in Napa can vary widely, but the median household income in 2021 was $76,000. And I wanted to know average house prices. It's really hard. I mean, it varies so much.
Expensive.
But it has a big second home market, so very pricey, more pricey than other places in the country. This is an interesting fact.
Ooh.
Many wineries in Napa Valley have incorporated advanced seismic engineering techniques into their construction so that they are earthquake resistant.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's cool, huh? I have some trivia questions for you about wine and Halloween.
I like it all and scary.
Okay, that's not a trivia question answer. Okay, what movie, first of all, were you listening to me is what I want to know. What year does this take place, the story I'm going to tell you?
2004.
Wow, I totally thought you weren't going to get that. Okay, and it takes place on?
In
What
Napa.
day?
Halloween.
Okay, good. What movie came out October 12th, 2004 that takes place in Napa Valley? And if you think about it, the movie is about winemaking, wineries, wine tasting.
God.
I can tell you somebody who's in
Sandra Oh's in it.
it.
Am I right?
Yeah, and Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, what is the name of that movie? God. I can't. Yeah, I have it right in my head, but just I'll know immediately.
Sideways.
Yeah, Sideways.
Okay.
Exactly. Son of a bitch.
What world famous film director owns a winery in Napa?
Francis Ford Coppola.
Wow, how'd you know that?
Because everybody knows that.
I don't think I knew that. Do you know what it's called?
Coppola's?
Mm-mm.
No, I don't know what it is.
Rubicon Winery.
Weird.
And I have a little backstory to it because I found that very interesting. What movie did Francis Ford Coppola famously direct?
The Godfather.
The Godfather, right. Okay. So he began searching for a family estate outside of San Francisco in 1975. And so in 1975, he purchased 1,500 acres of the Nybaum estate and moved his family there. And in 1995, so 20 years later, the money he made from Dracula allowed him to then buy the entire property, and has been making wine there since then. And he built a full film studio on the premises as well. And the second floor of the estate house, it's like a museum, a Coppola museum. It has all of his Oscars on display. And it's a very popular place with tourists, obviously, for the wine, but also for like the movie kind of Hollywood-ish relation. And he lives there. He lives on the estate. He's hands-on. It's not unusual to like see him, walking the winery.
Like picking grapes.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, these, I feel like I'm not going to ask all of these because I don't think you know enough about wine, but I'll try.
Try me.
Okay. Which term is used to describe the process of aging wine in oak barrels to enhance its flavor and aroma? I feel like this is a very easy, obvious question.
Aging wine.
Oak aging.
Well, yeah, okay. I mean, you kind of gave it away with in oak barrels, I thought they just did it in like old trash cans, but do it to me.
I don't like oaky wine. I feel like that's like Chardonnay maybe, or buttery. I don't like it. I like dry white wine. What's my favorite kind of wine? Like
you like a Sauvignon Blanc, but
Yeah.
the Marlborough or
from Australia.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. What is the term for the swirling of wine in a glass to release its aromas before tasting it?
Aerating.
Wow, very good.
I used to drink some wine back in the day,
Wow, apparently. What is the main grape variety used to make the red wines of Bordeaux, France? And it's actually the name of the grape variety is the name of the type of wine, which feels like something that I should have known, and I don't think I knew that. Sauvignon Blanc, I think that's also the name of the grapes. What is the main grape variety used to make the red wines of Bordeaux, France? I guess there's
Bordeaux wine? No, Bordeaux grape. I don't know. I really don't.
Cabernet Sauvignon.
Oh.
And this is my favorite type of red wine, that yellow bottle I get. What type of wine is produced in the Rioja wine region of Spain? You'll never get this.
God.
Starts with a T.
I don't know it.
Tempranillo. That's my favorite kind of red wine.
Is it like a sweet wine, though?
No, not at all. It's like a dry red. Okay, well, let's take a quick break and then get into the story.
Let's have a word from our sponsors.
A word from our sponsors. I don't think we have any sponsors for this episode.
Well, they're going to sponsor you some way.
You know who I really want to sponsor us, and I keep posting about them on Instagram? Bitchin' Sauce.
Oh, my God.
I know. Did I tell you that I posted a picture and Bitchin' Sauce, like the Bitchin' Sauce account, DM'd me with like a smiley face or something, and I was like, this is more exciting than any famous person that Bitchin' Sauce is responding to me, and I posted it.
Yo, I'll do 30-minute ads every episode for just one little jar because I love it.
I do love it. I would love it. I would like to do
bathe in
anything
it?
they want. Yeah, to bathe in it. All the different flavors. If you guys don't know what Bitchin' Sauce is, it is a little pricey unless you get it at Costco, but oh my gosh, it's like a dip or a marinade. It's made from almonds. They have spinach artichoke flavor. They have spicy chipotle flavor. This is not an ad, but wow, I love Bitchin' Sauce.
And she literally puts it on everything.
Everything. I like it on everything.
I'm all, would you like a scoop of cookies and cream? She's all, grab the Bitchin' Sauce. It's so much better with it.
Everything is better with Bitchin' Sauce. Plus, what a great name. Bitchin' Sauce.
That's a great name.
It is a great name. Okay, well, we're not going to hear from Bitchin' Sauce because they don't sponsor us, but we are going to take a quick break and then we'll jump into the episode.
Guys, if you like Death by Southwest, she'll love Bitchin' Sauce. We have multiple flavors like artichoke and spinach and regular flavor.
It's weird that you said
it's made from almonds.
It's weird that you said artichoke and spinach. It's always spinach and artichoke.
Well, I do it alphabetically, you know what I mean? Like,
You do not.
yeah.
That's ridiculous. Okay, let's jump in to our story for today. This is episode 44. Can't believe we've done 44 episodes.
That's a lot of episodes.
Sure is. But then I was listening to another podcast, Going West, I think, or I can't remember, but I was listening to another true crime podcast, and they were on episode like 300 and something. I was like, 300? It's intimidating.
It's a lot of episodes.
Sure is. So we are going to first get to know the 3 women roommates who lived in this house where this crime took place.
In Napa.
In Napa, yes. So the first woman that we're going to learn about is Adrienne Insania. I think that's how you say your last name. It rhymes with lasagna. Insania. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You say that about everybody's name and you say, I think I'm saying it right.
Well, because I, grew up with a name that everyone mispronounced, so I know that that's annoying, and it feels, especially if I'm talking about, people I don't know, it feels disrespectful. So Adrienne was born on December 30th, 1977 in Napa County. She has 2 sisters, Lexi and Allison, and a brother. When she was younger, she was very involved in sports. She played volleyball, softball. She was a Girl Scout. And her favorite toy as a kid is kind of telling to what she ended up growing up to do. So her favorite toy were Legos, and she had an obsession with bridges, like the San Francisco bridges. What do you think she maybe does based on that?
An architect?
That's a good guess.
Or no, she's a civil engineer.
I'm not going to tell you. And
I'm right, aren't I?
I'm not going to tell you. When Adrienne was 16 in June of 1994, she was in a horrific car accident, and it, it's been said that kind of helped shape her personality. She was like a real fighter. She survived it. She borrowed her mom's 1981 Ford Thunderbird, and I guess she was out running errands, and she ran into 3 boys from school, and she let them drive the car. They got in the car. She got in the passenger seat. One of the boys, I think he was only 15, got in the driver's seat, and the other 2 in the back. They decided to drive down to Napa Valley, and so
hauling ass.
Well, apparently the kid was unlicensed who was driving, and he kind of let the car drift onto a dirt shoulder and lost control, and he overcorrected, which caused the car to flip over and over and over 3 times. And Adrienne was in the passenger side with her window open, and so her head continued to hit the ground as the car rolled over and over.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. When her mom got to the hospital, she said that all she could see were tubes running everywhere, and that her head was 3 times its normal size, Adrienne's head. She suffered memory loss. She had to relearn a lot of basic skills. But after a couple of months, she actually returned to school. But it was a struggle. Her head trauma made it hard to concentrate. Her grades kind of went downhill. She looked very different. She had to have plastic surgery, and kids made fun of her. She could no longer play volleyball, which was her passion. So her whole entire life just completely changed, and she lost a lot of confidence in herself, and she started to become really angry and kind of bitter about the whole thing. She started telling her friends and family that she wished she had died in the accident.
Oh, shit.
But what ended up saving her and kind of helping her get back her strength mentally and physically and everything was getting a part-time job, oddly. All the major issues were coming from school, when she was at school, and she was having trouble in school, and then kids are also fucking mean. And so she got a part-time job at a restaurant called Checkers, and she met a bunch of new people and was able to regain her confidence through working there. And after a couple months of working there, her brain trauma kind of healed. It was a really good experience for her. So, people in the community obviously knew about the accident and knew that she really struggled to kind of get back to her normal life. And an organization known as If Given a Chance, they focus on supporting young individuals who triumph over challenges. And they gave Adrienne an annual scholarship of $2,500 for her college education. So every year they gave her $2,500 for as long as she was in college.
That's pretty good money. She was born in 1977, so
Yeah,
that's not bad back then.
And so she did graduate from high school, and she chose to go to Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo, and she pursued her passion for
civil engineering
and graduated in 2001. And following her graduation, she returned to Napa and began working as an assistant engineer at the Napa Sanitation District, which when I read that, it makes me for some reason think of like...
garbage trucks?
Yeah, but it was a water treatment plant.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And as an adult, she continued to love sports and she loved volleyball. She volunteered as a scorekeeper at the Napa Valley Community College, was described as funny, loving, passionate. She couldn't cook, but she loved to bake. And at the time when this story takes place, she had just kind of been dating a guy named Christian Lee. She had dated and had relationships. This was not a super serious one. She was hoping it would be. He was not. And that made it kind of frictiony, but we'll talk more about that later.
Okay. Speaking of a rollover accident, I was in a rollover accident with my brother. Like he was driving way too fast. It didn't like roll multiple times, just flipped over backwards and like the back window blew out and like gravel, all kinds of shit. It was pretty terrifying, you know? I also have another friend that they rolled over in a Volkswagen Bug, which everybody said it's just like a little egg. It just rolls over. Like it's so light, no problems whatsoever. But there happened to be a bowling ball in the back seat, so everybody got fucked up.
Oh my god!
Because it rolled multiple times and it didn't really crush the car, but the bowling ball hit everybody.
Wow, that's
just think about it. You're like in a sphere.
Yeah.
And there's a bowling ball in there.
Yeah, that's terrible. Weird. I was in a rollover accident as well by myself driving home from the gym in Atlanta in my Xterra. And it was raining and there was a car that had broken down, I guess, and was just in the middle of the lane. No lights on, no hazards, and no anything.
Did you overcorrect?
Well, I'm driving in like a normal speed limit and all of a sudden I'm like, what the fuck? You know, it was a dark
car.
Yeah, it was a dead stopped car in the middle of
the
lane that I was in.
I imagine.
No, it was dark. It was a small car, and so by the time I like noticed it was there, I had to like jerk my. You know, I shouldn't have jerked my wheel to the side, but I did. I was trying to avoid hitting it, so I swerved to avoid hitting the car, and then my Xterra flipped onto the driver's side and skidded down the road, and they had to like pull me out of it. The paramedics had to pull me out of it. It was super, super scary. Car accidents are horrifying.
They're terrible.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to the next roommate, Leslie Mazzara, who was born August 1st, 1978 in Orlando, Florida. But she grew up most of the time in Anderson, South Carolina, I believe. She had two siblings, Paul and Andy. And during her childhood, Leslie had a real passion for ballet. She did ballet with the Greenville Ballet Company. She was very goal-driven from a young age. When she was little, she used to say she wanted to be a teacher, a mother, a nurse, and Miss America before she reached 21 years old.
That's a lot of things to do.
It is. So after she graduated from high school, she made the choice to leave her dancing career behind and dedicated her studies to philosophy. And she attended the University of Georgia and got a bachelor's degree in philosophy. So during college, she was on the lacrosse team and in the karate club. And after she graduated, she went back to South Carolina and got kind of on the pageant scene. And she won Miss Williamston beauty pageant and competed in 2003 in the Miss South Carolina pageant. And after that, in 2004, she kind of didn't know what to do. She was a little bit lost. She felt like she was kind of at a crossroads in her life. She was torn between pursuing a teaching career or possibly a lawyer. She also had just gone through a breakup. And at the time, her mom was finishing religious school, vocational school in Berkeley, which was about 50 minutes from Napa. And one day her mom said to her, "Why don't you come out here and pour some wine and get your head together?" And so Leslie thought that sounded like a good idea, and she decided to move to Napa. That's how she decided to move there.
Kind of makes sense. You're all worked up in your life. You'll come out to the vineyards in California.
Yeah,
it's real nice.
Relaxing, right? And quickly after she moved to Napa, she realized, I don't want to be a teacher or a lawyer. I want to work in the wine industry. So she got a job as a greeter for the Francis Ford Coppola's winery.
What?
Yeah, it was the only place she applied, actually. It was like the first and only place she applied for a job. She, according to her friend, she actually just strolled in and said, "Hi, I'm Leslie. Are y'all hiring?" She had like a very thick Southern accent. So they hired her right on the spot. She was making $11.50 an hour.
That was back in the day. But that Southern accent's great. So, how y'all doing? Come on in, have some wine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like, yeah, this is awesome. Yeah.
Especially because it like stood out a lot in being in Napa. So she really enjoyed her job there, and she even got back into dating, even though she had, she was upset about the breakup that she had recently had, but she started casually dating two different men. I don't know their names, but one was a bit older and one was a bit younger, but she kind of ended up getting herself into a little bit of drama by dating these two men, because in October 2004, just about a week or two before this story takes place,
on Halloween,
right, the older guy that she was dating came over and found flowers that she had gotten from the younger guy, and he was not happy about it. Okay, so and then the third roommate is the one I have really the least information about. She was the quietest roommate out of all of them. Her name is Lauren Menza, perhaps. I don't know.
The quiet ones are always the problem.
Yes, she was the quietest of the roommates. And so there was, I don't know if there's a correlation between being quiet and having less of yourself online, but there was not as much information on her. And that may have been a purposeful thing because she was more of a private person. She was very athletic. She was an all-state athlete. She graduated with a political science degree, and she was in Napa because she was a volleyball coach at the community college. She also played volleyball and soccer in adult leagues. She was a neat freak. She often had to clean up after the other two. And I want to say...
And they're all roomies, right?
They're all roomies. So this is
it's interesting how they're all together in Napa for one reason or another, but they're all like kind of sportsy people and like go-getters.
So this is how they kind of became roommates. So Lauren, who I just talked about, and they were all around 26 years old at the time.
That's a gender-neutral name.
Lauren? It is.
I work with a guy named Lauren. He's like 70.
Oh, okay. The context on that is that myself and Jenna... Remember we did the Friends list? Like we were trying to come up with all the guest spots of Friends.
Like all the famous people?
Yeah, you were here when we were doing that. That was a while ago. I mean, we talked about it on the podcast. And so one of mine and Jenna's most recent lists that we're trying to come up with is the longest list of gender neutral names, like names that could be for a male or female. And we have a pretty good list going.
Don't miss what happens next in today's episode. We'll be right back after a short message from our sponsors.
So this is how I have a little bit of context on how the girls did become roommates, because Adrian was really the only one who was from there. Lauren was from around Napa as well. So Lauren and Adrian crossed paths earlier in the year, 2004, when they were both enrolled in an adult volleyball class at the Napa Community College. At the time, Lauren was living with her parents, and Napa was still relatively unfamiliar to her. So I guess she's a question mark for me. I don't know where she grew up, but she was living with her parents, and it must have been in or around Napa, but that maybe is not where she grew up. I should know that. Fuck.
That's all right. Look up list. Where was Lauren from?
I literally have a book about these murders and like read the whole thing, and there was not a chapter on her though. So she was living with her parents, and her and Adrian struck up a conversation at the community college. Adrian was well acquainted with many people in Napa Valley. And so she was asking Lauren about people that they might know, like similar acquaintances or connections. And Lauren finally said in this conversation, she said, "I don't have any friends in Napa." And Adrian said, well, you do now.
Oh, she has one friend now.
Yeah. So in the beginning of 2004, she found a cute 2-story house located on the west side of town. It was very small, almost kind of like a dollhouse. It was only 900 square feet, but it was 2 stories and it did have a big backyard. And it was realistically, even in 2004, it was worth around $500,000 just because it was in Napa.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a flat 2-story small building. Flat.
But she couldn't afford, so Lauren couldn't afford to live there alone. And so she asked Adrian to move in with her.
She's all, listen, when you spent the $3,000 a month rent, she's all, you can have half the bedroom.
So it was an extremely quiet middle-class neighborhood. There was really no nightlife. So it seemed like an odd choice, but both girls were fine with that. They weren't
Sure, there was like volleyball and lacrosse.
Well, that's why they played on the adult leagues. They were both very athletic. So on moving day, Adrian had some of her friends come because remember, Lauren didn't really have any friends. She didn't know anybody. So Adrian had her friend Ben Katz come.
He had a truck.
Maybe.
Someone had a fucking truck, you know? I have a truck and it's like, oh, I got to move some shit. It's like, God damn it, I wish I had a sedan,
That's
you know?
true. That's what has been put upon you now by having a truck. I love that you have a truck. It's so convenient.
Yeah, I move a lot of shit because of it.
You do. So Ben Katz came over. I do not know if he has a truck. That is not confirmed. And her other friend Lily and Lily's fiance Eric. Lily Prudhomme and Eric Koppel. So they all helped them move in. And afterwards, after they were all moved in, they kind of had like a impromptu party with pizza and beer and stuff. And Lauren
moving party.
Yeah.
They have shots?
I don't know, but sure. Yes, there were
It was
shots.
probably more winey. You know what I mean? Like some wine.
True.
It's in Napa. It's like, everybody bring a bottle of wine or
That's
two.
true. So not long after Adrian and Lauren moved into this house, they introduced themselves to a group of young women who were living in the house right next door to them. There was like 4 women living there, and they were fun and friendly. And so they all kind of, they would occasionally hang out. And Lauren and Adrian really were drawn to one of the women who lived there, Leslie. So when Leslie was talking to Adrian and Lauren, a few months later, and said like, I'm losing my place to live because my housemates are all moving out and I have to find a new place, they asked Leslie to move in with them.
They're all squeezed into this 900 square feet.
Yeah, there was 3 bedrooms though.
3 bedrooms?
1 downstairs and 2 upstairs.
So there's like 3 closets and a kitchen?
Yeah, I mean, it's small. But the 3 of them became fast friends. They lived very well together. There was almost no kind of roommate issues or disputes, what can
That's
happen.
what they say there, but there always is. You're always a clean freak.
Well,
that was my milk.
that's so annoying.
I didn't know that was your sandwich. Well, it's not yours, sister or bro,
So the first real argument that they kind of had as a group was they had been living together for months before it happened. And it happened on October 28th. So on October 28th, Leslie brought over, everybody was in their respective bedrooms, and Leslie brought over a boy in the middle of the night.
Oh, a bro?
Mm-hmm. And
what do you think that's about? Like,
like for like, I don't want to say a booty call, but like brought him over to bang around with, to mess around with.
Screw around.
Right. So which seems like, okay, no big deal. They're all like adult 26, 27-year-old women. But it was weirdly the only time one of them had brought a guy over to like sleep over.
Oh, the first, can I say it, D in the house?
Yes. Well,
Whoa,
no, because they had friends, but like the first one that was there.
No, but you know what I mean? The first sexual encounter in the house.
Right.
The other girl's got a little jelly belly.
Well, they were in their room. So at first they didn't even know. Until they knew because it was a lot of loud noises coming from.
Well, it's only 900 square feet.
Right. So then they kept Adrian and Lauren up all night with their enthusiastic lovemaking. So Lauren and Adrian were not happy about this, but being the mature adults that they all are, they decided to have a roommate meeting the next day. And they decided, like, it's obviously fine if you bring dudes home, but like keep it down.
Yeah,
like,
if you want to be so vocal, maybe go to the choir.
Right, maybe go somewhere else.
Sing it out of you.
So that was, they had their roommate meeting October 29th, and so now a few days later, it's Halloween. So on Halloween night, there's, not a ton to do in Napa. It's pretty quiet, but there is a lot of trick-or-treaters. So the three girls decided that they were invited to a party, but instead of going to the party, they thought, we're just going to stay home, like have some wine, hang out the three of us, and pass out candy to all the trick-or-treaters. So they did.
Are there a lot of kids in Napa?
I mean, they lived in a residential neighborhood. Yeah. So they had a lot of trick-or-treaters came by, and Adrian and Leslie really loved Halloween. They had made some cupcakes earlier in the day.
Whoa, cupcakes?
They had they weren't passing those out to trick-or-treaters.
Oh, yeah, you can't do that.
No.
Even though it was dope. When I was a kid, you get the old lady who had like the popcorn ball, and of course you bring it home. My mom's like, you can't eat, it's poison. I'm like, that sweet old lady's not trying to kill me. I'm going to eat that popcorn bar.
You never know. So, no, the cupcakes were not for the trick-or-treaters. It was just for them. And they were they put the finishing touches on the decorations. But Lauren, on the other hand, she didn't love Halloween as much, just mostly because all the kids ringing the doorbells and all the decorations and stuff. She had a slightly older dog named Chloe, and Chloe would bark every time the trick-or-treaters came. Like, I can really relate to that.
Like Henry?
Yeah, well, last year we weren't here for Halloween. We were at Jenna and Michael's, so I'm interested. I would like to be, it's a weeknight, so we'll be here. I'll be interested to see if we get a lot of trick-or-treaters here. We're definitely going to buy candy. We haven't even discussed that.
Have you seen the price of candy? I'm not buying candy and feeding small kids sugar.
Yes, you talked about that yesterday. Yes.
I could feed like 4 kids for like $90.
Okay. So Lauren didn't like it as much because Chloe would bark, which I relate to. So they're passing out candy. Chloe's doing okay. Adrian, at a certain point, decided she was going to run out to go see Christian, her on again, off again kind of
Mr.
boyfriend.
Lee?
Christian Lee. That's right. Good memory. Christian had actually met Adrian at a volleyball class at Napa Community College. I mean, volleyball is really bringing these people together.
I know. It's like, is that all they do?
I guess.
It is.
It's wine and volleyball.
Christian has a truck and he carries all the volleyballs in the back of it.
That's right. There you go.
Makes perfect sense.
So he lived close by in the same neighborhood. And so she decided to dip out and go see him. So that night was a little bit tense for Adrian and Christian, because Adrian recently had become a member of the Napa branch of the 2030 Club, which is a collective of young professionals who gather for dinner and dancing and to party, basically. The club was originally established in Sacramento as kind of like a younger iteration of the Rotary Club. It's like lively social events.
We all have jobs, so we're getting together.
I guess. I mean, it's like an adult, to meet people, I guess. A social club. Some of Adrian's friends had speculated that Adrian actually joined not to meet people because she already had a lot of friends, but that she joined so that she could have like an alternative person to Christian, like kind of waiting for her on the sidelines, If it didn't work out with Christian, she would have like another guy,
like
on
a
her
backup,
like
a backup bro?
A backup bro, like a rotation of bros,
A rotary bro.
There you go. Exactly. And she did interact with a lot of intriguing men at these different social functions, and sometimes she would even share the encounters with the different guys that she met with Christian, and he didn't care for that.
Yeah, no shit. She's always flirting with this dude all night, and he's all great.
Yeah,
that sounds fantastic.
Did not like that. So they had a heated argument that Halloween night when she went over there about her recent encounter with a guy at one of these parties, because she had hinted to Christian that if this new guy would commit to her and Christian wouldn't, then she was going to break up with Christian and leave. Kind of like, if you're not ready to commit to me, then I have somebody else who will,
Whoa,
threatening.
Ultimatums.
Yeah, ultimatuming. But what struck me as strange is that Christian didn't want to be serious, but the thought of her dating anyone else or possibly breaking up with him, he was very upset about. If you don't want to be that serious, then you can't be that mad if she wants to date somebody else, right?
Well, true. And also keep it casual, but you're not screwing around with other people.
Yeah, but she wanted it to be serious. So I guess she should have just broken up with him then.
Well, obviously she seems to have expressed this.
Yes, he knew that. And that was where a lot of the friction came from in their relationship, is that she wanted
I call it Christian fiction.
She wanted more of a commitment, and he was not interested. So while Adrian was gone, Lauren and Leslie made some food and settled down. They were done with trick-or-treaters, settled down to watch an episode of 6 Feet Under.
Oh, shit. Your favorite show.
My favorite show. Around 9:30, Lauren got a phone call, and Leslie was like, all right, I'm going to head upstairs and go to bed. Lauren went into her downstairs bedroom to take the phone call. Leslie headed up to bed. Lauren had downstairs. Leslie and Adrian were upstairs. And as it turns out, Lauren wasn't the only one who got a phone call that night. Leslie was also dealing with some drama in her romantic life. You know, she had recently moved from South Carolina, and before she moved, she broke up with her boyfriend there. His name was Lee Youngblood Jr. And recently she had been getting calls from his father,
Senior Youngblood?
Lee Youngblood Sr. And she didn't, that night was no different. So she got a call that Halloween night, or 2 calls maybe, and she didn't answer because it's weird. She broke up with him. Why is his dad calling her repeatedly and he was trying to convince her to get back together with his son?
What?
Yeah. It seems so strange to me. So around 10 p.m., Adrian came back from Christian's house, and Lauren had finished her downstairs phone call. She was sitting in front of the TV. Adrian sat down. They talked for a little bit. And then around 11 o'clock, both girls were like, all right, we're going to bed. Leslie was already upstairs in bed. So Adrian headed upstairs to her bedroom, and it was across the hall from Leslie's with just a bathroom. It was like a Jack and Jill. So there's a bathroom between their rooms. So Lauren made sure all the doors were locked, and then went into her downstairs bedroom with her dog, Chloe, who was a German Shepherd mix and always slept in the room with her. I don't check my doors. You sometimes do, sometimes you don't.
Well, we got Henry, and he's like pretty spry, so don't worry about it.
True. That's true. And so she had Chloe, which probably made her feel safe. But I think that's, it's very responsible to check all the doors and locks. But she didn't check the windows. So it was peaceful. All the girls were asleep by 11. And around 2 a.m., Chloe started to growl. And that woke Lauren up in her downstairs bedroom. And she was like groggy and tired. She got up. She walked over to the window and noticed that the motion activated light on the garage had been activated. And she thought, it's probably a cat. There's some cats in the neighborhood.
What about a mountain lion?
Or a mountain lion. Yeah. Well, I mean, it could have been any of those things that set that light off. And that's why Chloe was barking. She was like, no big deal, She shrugged it off. She was crawling back into bed, and then she heard noises right above her. Leslie's room was right above her room.
Isn't Leslie the girl who brought the bro home?
She is. So Lauren automatically was like, God, Leslie snuck another dude in here, and that must be what it is. But then she heard footsteps, heavy footsteps, going from Leslie's room across the hall to Adrian's room. And she was like, that's weird, but it's late. Maybe I misheard, and he's using the bathroom. But then after a few minutes, she heard loud noises coming from Adrian's room. It sounded like the bed was being slammed repeatedly against the wall. And she thought, wow, they both have dudes here. Like, I'm never going to sleep tonight. This is so annoying.
I would immediately be concerned about that situation because it just seems weird.
Why, though? Why wouldn't you just assume?
You hear noise. Your dog is alerted.
Well, because maybe
and then there's, I know, maybe there's a dude up there. Yeah. But then like steps, like you hear noises, no longer noises. And then do, 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 do. And then noises in the next room.
Well, I mean, I think that it's reasonable for her to think 3 nights before Leslie had brought a dude home and it was loud all night. So maybe Leslie has a dude. He's now in the bathroom, and Adrian has a dude. Like, you don't know.
There's a bunch of dudes making noise.
Yeah. Oftentimes, especially in a safe, quiet neighborhood, you're not thinking of that shit. You're like, whatever. It's not a problem. A problem, right? So she was more annoyed than concerned. She was frustrated. Until she heard a blood-curdling, terrified scream. And her annoyance was instantly replaced with fear. She knew something was very wrong. So her first instinct was to run towards the stairs, to head upstairs and check on Adrian and Leslie. But as she was heading across the house towards the stairs, she heard those same heavy footsteps that she heard before on the upstairs level, headed in the direction of the stairs, of the staircase. And she thought, no, I shouldn't run towards.
Get out of there.
Yeah, get out of there. I shouldn't run towards the potential danger. So she did. She turned around and headed towards the back door of the house, which led into the backyard, which was fully fenced. So she didn't have an exit from the backyard. So she ran over to some bushes and hid behind them. And she had like a clear view of the house, not totally clear, but she could see the kitchen at least. And so she thought, I'll just stay here and like see if somebody comes down or out or what's going to happen. And after several minutes of watching, she didn't see anything. So that person whoever was headed towards the stairs obviously didn't come down right away. But a few minutes later they did. And then she heard someone escaping. She heard the window break and heard someone escaping through the kitchen window because it was wooden blinds. And so it was making a lot of noise. And half of the wooden blinds like were pushed out. Whoever this was exiting the window, which I'm not totally sure why they didn't just go out of a door.
Yeah, it seems weird because it's like in the inside, so you don't.
Like, why don't you just go out the front or back door? Well, I guess maybe the back door because it's gated in. Or maybe he came down the stairs. I don't have a map of the house, so maybe he came down the stairs and the first exit he saw was the kitchen window.
Why does it have to be a he?
Or it doesn't. It could be chic. That's true.
Anyway, someone busted out of a window.
Yes. You don't want to miss what happens next in today's murder story, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a short message from our sponsors.
Where the hell was Chloe the whole time?
That is my question as well. I don't know. Okay. I know that she comes back into the picture, but during this time, I couldn't find out, like, was she just chilling on the bed in Lauren's room? Probably not. I don't know, though. So Lauren hears the blinds, and she's like looking, trying to get a view of the kitchen window. That wasn't in her direct sight, but all she saw was somebody a dark figure drop out of the window and run in the opposite direction.
Out, not in the backyard, out of the front yard.
Yes.
Gone.
Yep.
Good sign. At least they're out of there.
Yep. So she was still hiding in the bushes, and she was like, I don't know what to do. Because what if there's more than one person in the house? Like, more than one intruder. She just, like, at this point, she has no idea what's going on. So she's sitting there trying to figure out, like, do I try and go in the house? Do I try to go get my car keys? Or maybe I should call 911? 2004, so cell phones are, like, not that prevalent.
I mean, I imagine, like, most normal houses, a 6-foot fence. Scale that motherfucker, go to the neighbors.
Right. Or, yeah, that's true. Or run back in through the house, I guess. I guess I probably wouldn't.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, does she have a gun?
No.
Yeah, is Chloe awake? Is she ready to
that's
go?
True.
No.
Yeah.
Jump over the fence, find a neighbor, beat on the door. Yeah. Be like, hey.
Before she could kind of decide what to do, she could hear Adrian crying and screaming for help from the upstairs bedroom.
Oh, shit. Guess you gotta kind of go in.
And so she was like, I have to go in, but she decided that on her way to go check on Adrian, she was going to stop at the landline, and call 911.
And grab a kitchen knife?
We would hope.
Some sort of weapon?
When she picked up the phone, it was dead. Somebody had cut the line.
Oh, shit.
So she couldn't call 911. And she heard Adrian's cries for help becoming more and more urgent. So she was like, okay, I have to at least go upstairs and see if I can help her and then figure out what to do after that. So she was scared. She said that she was scared somebody else might be in the house, but she was like, what am I going to do? I have to go. So she made it up the stairs. And when she made it up the stairs, she was horrified by what she saw. Adrian was lying on the floor between her bed and window in the back of her bedroom. And Lauren, it was dark upstairs, because all the girls had been sleeping, so it was still pretty dark. But Lauren could see her in the corner of the bedroom, and so she went to go run towards her, and all of a sudden she slipped flat on her back, like her feet came out from under her, and she fell right on her back. And as she was like, "What the hell?" It's wet everywhere, and
blood.
It was blood everywhere, puddles of blood, and she didn't have time to really process that, got back up, ran over to Adrian, trying to figure out where she was injured. She had so many injuries, so many wounds, which...
Can I presume something right now?
You can.
Stabbing?
Well, at this point, we don't know. Lauren didn't know because it was dark. She's panicked, and she can't really see. She just knows that there's blood coming out of everywhere on Adrian. And Adrian is talking, like saying, like, help me. And as she's trying to figure out, like, how do I stop some of this bleeding? Then at that point, Adrian, the words weren't coming, and it was just like a terrible gurgling sound in her throat. And so Lauren is still trying to help Adrian, and then out of the corner of her eye, she notices something else, and it's Leslie, face down in a pile of laundry and blood.
In the same room?
It was the same room, but I never was able to find out why or how Leslie got moved into that room.
The assailant carried her in there. We don't know.
I don't know.
Or maybe it was small enough, like, where...
That it was, yeah. That,
or
like,
maybe those heavy footsteps, she was like, Leslie got chased by homeboy.
That's true.
Or homegirl.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that's actually could be it. But Leslie's not moving or making any noise. Adrian now is only like gurgling, and there's blood coming out of her mouth. And Lauren was like, I can't help. I have to go get help. So she ran downstairs, found her cell phone, but she barely got service in the house. So she knew she had to like go at least out front.
Which is sketchy as fuck.
Right. But she goes out front to call 911, but and she calls, it goes through, but before she can say anything to the dispatcher, it cuts out because she has such bad service. So she hopped in her car.
Was she on T-Mobile or something?
She hopped in her car, she put Chloe in her car, and she began driving to try and get better service. And she did. So I have the transcript from the 911 call. So the operator says, 911 emergency, what are you reporting? And Lauren says, oh my God, we got attacked, 2631 Dorset Street, please help. The operator says, what's your address? And she says, 2631 Dorset Street. She said, what city are you in? She says, Napa. And the operator said, and who attacked you? She said, I don't know. And the operator said, you don't know who attacked you? Is that your house? And she said, yeah, the attack was upstairs. I don't know who it was. I'm downstairs. I don't know what happened, but both of my roommates are hurt. And the operator said, okay, did you come home to find that your roommates had been attacked? And she said, please hurry, please hurry. The operator asks again, did you come home to find this? And she said, no. What is your name? And you gave me an address of 2631. And she's like, yes. And the operator starts to spell it. She says, yes. And then the operator says, how many people are injured? And Lauren says, one of them is alive, and the other one, there's two. I don't know. She says she didn't see any weapon, and she didn't hear any guns. And the operator says, okay, can you go back towards the house? You don't need to go inside, but you need to stop driving and let me know where you are so that I could also send somebody to you. Like, tell me what corner, because, Lauren's driving at this point, just driving around, panicked, obviously.
Yeah. I'm not going back towards the house. I mean, like, listen, motherfucker, send it to the house. I'm fine. There's other people injured.
So the operator said, you just need to go find a corner and tell me what corner. And Lauren says, okay, sorry, I didn't just want to sit around there. And the operator says, okay, but you need to pull over and tell me what intersection you're at. And she says, okay. And then she does. And the operator says, were you home when this happened? She said, yes, I was downstairs. And I don't understand this. The operator says, okay, you pull over and tell me where you're at. And Lauren says, okay, I have to go back to the house. I'm driving away. And the operator said, what did the person look like? And she said, I didn't see anybody. I swear to you. I heard screaming. And then I woke up and I stayed where I was. And the operator said, so you didn't actually see somebody? And she said, no, I didn't see anybody. Which is not true. She did, but she didn't see their face or anything.
Anyways, 2 people are injured in the house. Send the cops, you know?
So, well, I'm assuming that she is sending the cops, but just trying to keep Lauren talking. So she said, did you hear anything else? Lauren says, no. And then the operator says, so who are the people in the house? What roommates? Are they male, female? 2 females upstairs. The operator says, they were both bleeding. She says, yeah, well, one's unconscious on the ground, and then the other one's bleeding and gurgling. I didn't know what to do. And she says, I don't know where she was bleeding from. I think her stomach, but I didn't hear any shots. And she tells the operator where she is. The operator says, do you know who might have done this? She says, no, I don't even want to speculate on that one. And the operator says, have you had any problems with anyone lately? And she says, no. And the operator said, just stay right there. I'm sending someone. And
is the operator a detective?
Right. That's very...
She's all, have you had any trouble recently? You have any financial problems?
Well, so Lauren...
Is there anybody who wants to hurt you?
Well, right. But, like, that's not... I don't know. I'm assuming she's just trying to keep her talking.
Yeah, I guess.
But so the operator says, okay, just stay right where you are, okay? And Lauren says, no, I don't want to stop moving. And the operator said, well, I'm sorry, you said you didn't see anybody. So did you? And do you think he's on foot? And Lauren says, I saw a broken window and a guy jumping out of a window. And the operator says, okay, that's what I asked you, if you saw someone. And Lauren says, I didn't see a guy. It was a figure. And I heard a broken window. And I went up to go see how my roommates were. I was downstairs when this happened. So somebody jumped out the window because they didn't know how to get out of the house. So the last thing the operator said is, where was the window that got broken? Lauren said in the kitchen downstairs. And the operator said, okay, so you're kind of just thinking that somebody jumped out, but you didn't see anybody. And that's the last of the conversation. Lauren was driving back and forth near the house, but not like on the street or at the nearby street. And so I'm assuming at that point, police showed up or something, and she like hung up and got out of the car with the police. But Officer Darlene Ilya was on overnight shift that night, and she usually was hanging out in the parking lot of the Napa High School.
Like smoking weed and shit?
No, she's a police officer.
Well, that doesn't mean shit.
That's true.
It's Napa, California. She's probably drinking wine.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that like what she usually dealt with is like occasional DUIs, maybe some drug related things, but it was pretty infrequent. It was a pretty quiet place to work. And it had been a quiet night mostly for her, which is interesting because it was Halloween. Halloween can be a crazy night. But there had been, at this point, no murders in 2004 in Napa. There actually, I read, hadn't been a murder in Napa since 2002. 2 years, no murders. So, but that Halloween night, Officer Ilya received a call that she would never forget. The dispatcher said that the initial report was a 911 call that got disconnected. We don't know why. The dispatcher said the caller phoned back and explained that she and her housemates were under attack by an unidentified intruder, and there is blood present throughout the home. So Officer Ilya got there quickly, parked her car near the home, and as she approached, she noticed that Lauren was there outside signaling another police car that was coming from the other direction. So police are now just arriving. It was now 2:13 a.m. though. So
it's a late night in Napa.
Yeah, but it was around 2 a.m. that Lauren heard the screams. So I mean, this all happened within a matter of 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
Yeah. So since the officers, there was only two officers, Officer Ilya and Sergeant Pat Manzer, but they didn't have partners with them. So there was just the two of them and Lauren, and they didn't want to leave Lauren outside by herself. They didn't know where this intruder is. So they said, we're going to wait for backup. Backup came in like a minute or two. But once backup got there, they entered the house through the garage door, which led them into the kitchen. They all had their firearms drawn. And okay, that is the end of part 1 of this story. And if you want to know what happens and hear the rest of it, you will have to tune in next week to part 2, or you can go and join our Patreon, where the full episode will be available tomorrow. Thanks for listening, guys. See you next week.
Death by Southwest is hosted by Jenna Schneider and Margot Carmichael.
Executive produced by Margot Carmichael.
Produced by Jenna Schneider.
Audio editing and sound design by Margot Carmichael.
Music by Soundstripe.
And a special thanks to Edward R. Murrow for letting us borrow his famous sign-off phrase, good night and good luck.